You know how some moments just freeze in time? Not the good ones, unfortunately. I was sitting on the couch, scrolling through my phone after dinner, when she walked past me heading to our bedroom. She was getting ready to meet her friends for drinks. Same routine every Friday night. You know, she said, not even looking at me while applying her lipstick in the hallway mirror. Every single day, I look at you and wonder if this is the best I could do with my life. She said it like she was commenting on the weather. Casual, matter of fact, like she was telling me we were out of milk. I stopped scrolling, looked up at her. She was still focused on her reflection, adjusting her earrings. Seriously? I asked. What? She finally glanced at me through the mirror. I'm just being honest. Isn't honesty what makes marriages work? There it was. 8 years of marriage, and apparently this was her version of honesty. Not a conversation, not even an argument. Just a casual observation about how I was apparently the consolation prize in her life story. Have fun with your friends, I said, turning back to my phone. She grabbed her purse and keys. Don't wait up. We might go dancing after dinner. The front door closed with a soft click. The house went quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator and the distant sound of traffic outside our subdivision. I sat there for maybe 10 minutes, just processing what had happened. Then something interesting occurred to me. She was right about one thing. Honesty does make marriages work. And honestly, I was done. I stood up and walked to our bedroom, opened my closet, and pulled out the duffel bag I used for weekend trips. Started packing methodically. Work clothes, casual clothes, toiletries, important documents. Everything that mattered to me. Took about 2 hours to pack up 8 years of my life. Funny how little of it actually belonged to me when you got down to it. Most of the furniture was hers, most of the decorations, most of the decisions about how we lived. I left a note on the kitchen counter. Short and sweet. Thanks for the honesty. You're free to find out if you can do better. Take care. Loaded my car in the garage, backed out onto the street, and drove to my friend Ralph's place across town. He was still up, watching some late-night basketball game. Hey man, what's going on? He asked when he opened the door and saw me standing there with my bags. Long story, I said. Can I crash on your couch for a few days while I figure things out? Ralph stepped aside and gestured me in. Of course. Beer. Actually, yeah, that sounds perfect. As I settled onto his couch with a cold one in my hand, I realized something. For the first time in months, maybe years, I felt genuinely relaxed. No tension in my shoulders, no walking on. No, I won't use that phrase. Let's just say no more carefully watching every word I said to avoid setting off another one of her moods. My phone buzzed around midnight. Text from her. Having amazing time. Dancing until late. I turned the phone face down on Ralph's coffee table and focused on the game. Tomorrow I'd start figuring out my next steps. Tonight, I was just going to enjoy this unexpected peace. Saturday morning hit different. I woke up on Ralph's couch feeling more rested than I had in months. The smell of coffee and bacon was coming from his kitchen, and for a moment I forgot where I was. Then my phone started buzzing like an angry wasp. 17 missed calls, 23 text messages, all from her. The messages started around 2 a.m. when she got home. Where are you? Then escalated quickly through the stages of panic, anger, and what I can only describe as negotiation tactics. This is ridiculous. Come home right now. We need to talk about this like adults. You can't just leave without discussing it. I didn't mean it the way it sounded. And my personal favorite, you're being dramatic. I was being dramatic. Right. The woman who once cried for an hour because I bought the wrong brand of yogurt was calling me dramatic. Ralph walked into the living room with 2 mugs of coffee. Sounds like someone's not happy about your executive decision. Executive decision. I like that. I took the coffee gratefully. She's apparently shocked that I took her at her word. My phone rang again. Same number. I declined the call and immediately got a text. Answer your phone. You planning to respond to any of this? Ralph asked, settling into his recliner. Eventually, when I'm ready to have the conversation on my terms, not hers. The phone rang again. This time I answered. Where the hell are you? No greeting, no pause. Good morning to you too. Don't you dare act casual about this. You disappeared in the middle of the night like some kind of coward. Actually, it was around 10 p.m. and I left a note explaining everything. Very considerate, if you ask me. That wasn't an explanation. That was a tantrum. I took a sip of coffee and watched Ralph flip through TV channels. So let me get this straight. Yesterday you told me you wonder every day if I'm the best you could do with your life. Today you're upset that I gave you the chance to find out. I'm confused about the logic here. Silence on her end for maybe 10 seconds. I was having a bad day. You know I didn't mean it. See, that's where you're wrong. I think you meant every word. And honestly, that's fine. But I'm not going to stick around to be someone's backup plan while they figure out if they can trade up. You're overreacting. Am I? Because from where I'm sitting, I'm just following your lead. You wanted honesty, right? Well, here's mine. I deserve better than someone who sees me as a daily disappointment. Her voice got that particular tone it always got when she was trying to manipulate the situation. Softer, more vulnerable. Baby, please. We can work through this. Every couple has rough patches. This wasn't a rough patch. This was you telling me exactly how you feel about our marriage. And you know what? I believe you. Where are you staying? That's not your concern anymore. Of course it's my concern. I'm your wife. Yesterday, I was the guy you settled for. Today you're my wife. Which is it? Another silence. Then, when are you coming home so we can discuss this properly? I looked around Ralph's living room. Comfortable couch, good coffee, no tension in the air. I am home. This is where I want to be right now. You're staying with Ralph, aren't you? I ended the call without answering. 2 minutes later, another text. Tell Ralph I said hi. She says hi. I told Ralph. Fantastic. Tell her I said you're welcome to stay as long as you need. My phone stayed busy all weekend. Calls, texts, voicemails. Each message getting more desperate, more angry, more manipulative. By Sunday night, she was alternating between threats and promises. I'll change. You're throwing away 8 years. My lawyer says you can't just abandon marital property. I love you. You're making a huge mistake. I responded to exactly one message the entire weekend. Her threat about the lawyer got a simple reply. Feel free to have your lawyer call me. We can discuss the divorce terms. That seemed to quiet things down for a while. 3 weeks into my new living situation, I started to remember who I used to be. Funny how you can lose track of yourself so gradually that you don't even notice until you get some distance. I'd been crashing at Ralph's, but it was time to find my own place. Found a decent rental house about 20 minutes from work. Nothing fancy, but it had a garage and a backyard where I could actually use the grill I'd bought years ago, but never touched because the smell bothers the neighbors. Work became a completely different experience. Without the constant low-level stress of wondering what mood I'd come home to, I actually started enjoying my job again. I'm a project coordinator for a construction company, and for the first time in years, I was showing up early and staying focused all day. That's how I met Addison. She worked in the design department, and we'd crossed paths maybe twice in the 3 years I'd been with the company. But when I started actually participating in meetings instead of just getting through them, we ended up collaborating on a commercial renovation project downtown. You know, she said during our second project meeting, I don't think I've ever seen you without that wedding ring before. I looked down at my left hand. I'd stopped wearing it the day I left, but apparently she'd noticed. Recent development. Well, for what it's worth, you seem different lately. More present, if that makes sense. It made perfect sense. Thanks. I think I'm finally waking up from a long nap. She laughed at that. Well, welcome back to the land of the living. Addison was easy to talk to, not in a romantic way initially, just in a normal human way that I'd forgotten was possible. She asked questions about the project, shared ideas, made decisions without creating drama. Revolutionary concept. Our project meetings started running longer than necessary. Then we started grabbing coffee afterward to discuss details. Then coffee became lunch a couple times a week. Nothing inappropriate, just two adults having actual conversations about work, life, movies, books, all the stuff I used to enjoy talking about. Meanwhile, the phone campaigns from my ex had settled into a pattern. She'd go quiet for a few days, then unleash a barrage of messages ranging from angry to pleading to downright bizarre. My favorite was the 3 a.m. text that said, I bought your favorite ice cream. It's in the freezer waiting for you. I didn't even like ice cream that much, but apparently that detail had escaped her notice during our 8 years together. Ralph found the whole situation entertaining. She texted you about ice cream at 3 in the morning? What kind? Mint chocolate chip. Man, she doesn't know you at all. You hate mint ice cream. Exactly my point. By the end of the month, I'd established a routine that actually made sense. Work, gym, home to my quiet house where I could watch whatever I wanted on TV, read books, or just sit on the back porch without someone sighing dramatically every 10 minutes. One evening, Addison and I were finishing up a late project review when she asked, Do you want to grab dinner? There's a new Italian place down the street, and I'm starving. It wasn't a date. At least, that's what I told myself. Two colleagues getting food after a long day. Happens all the time in the business world. But sitting across from her in that little restaurant, listening to her laugh at my stories about construction site disasters, I realized something important. This was what normal felt like. Easy conversation, genuine interest in each other's thoughts, no walking on, no carefully monitoring every word to avoid triggering an emotional minefield. Can I ask you something? Addison said over dessert. Sure. What was your marriage like? You don't have to answer if it's too personal. I thought about that for a minute. Exhausting. I spent so much energy trying to be the right version of myself that I forgot what the original version was like. She nodded. I've been there. My last relationship was like that. Always felt like I was auditioning for a role I never got cast for. Exactly. And then one day she told me she wondered if I was the best she could do. And I realized I'd been wondering the same thing about her for years. Sounds like you both got your answer. When I drove home that night, my house felt different. Not lonely, but peaceful. For the first time since leaving, I wasn't thinking about what I'd lost. I was thinking about what I might find next. 2 months after leaving, something unexpected happened at work. Our company landed a major contract to renovate the historic Westfield Hotel downtown, a project worth more than anything we'd handled before. During the Monday morning meeting, my boss Blake Stevens called me into his office. I'm putting you in charge of the Westfield project, he said without preamble. Full project management, your team, your timeline, your show. I blinked. Blake, that's a massive project. Are you sure you want? You've been different these past couple months. Sharper, more engaged, taking initiative. Yesterday, you caught that structural issue in the Eisenberg building plans that would have cost us 50 grand to fix later. I need that level of attention on Westfield. The project meant longer hours, more responsibility, and direct contact with clients who had serious money invested. It also meant proving I could handle something this significant without someone looking over my shoulder every 5 minutes. I won't let you down, I said. I know you won't. That's why you got the job. Walking back to my desk, I felt something I hadn't experienced in years, genuine pride in my work. Not the kind where you're grateful someone noticed you exist, but the kind where you know you earned something through actual competence. Addison was waiting by my cubicle with a stack of design mock-ups. Well, you look like someone who just got good news. Westfield project. I'm lead on it. Her face lit up. That's amazing. And I'm lead designer on it. So we'll be working together pretty closely. Even better, your designs for the Eisenberg project were brilliant. Flattery will get you everywhere, she said, but she was smiling. Want to grab lunch and go over the initial concepts. Lunch had become a regular thing with us, 3 or 4 times a week. Nothing officially romantic, but something was definitely developing. She was smart, funny, and had this way of challenging my ideas without making it feel like an attack. Revolutionary concept after 8 years of every disagreement becoming a personal assault on my character. During lunch, she spread out preliminary sketches for the hotel's main lobby renovation. I'm thinking we preserve the original Art Deco elements, but modernize the functionality. Keep the history, but make it work for today's guests. That's exactly right. Respect what was there, but don't get trapped by it. She looked up from the drawings. Are we still talking about hotel design? Maybe not entirely. We were definitely flirting now. Had been for weeks, actually, but this felt like the first time we both acknowledged it openly. That evening, my ex called while I was reviewing project files at home. I almost didn't answer, but figured it was time to see what fresh approach she'd developed. I know you're seeing someone, she said immediately. Good evening to you too. Angela saw you at Romano's last week with some woman. Blonde, professional looking. Angela was her sister, which explained the intelligence network. And I want to know who she is. That's really not your business anymore. Of course it's my business. We're still married, only technically, and only until the paperwork goes through. There was a pause. When she spoke again, her voice had that manipulative edge I remembered so well. I've been thinking about what I said that night. I was stressed about work, and I took it out on you. It wasn't fair. Wasn't fair? You told me you wonder every day if I'm the best you could do. That wasn't stress talking, that was honesty. Finally, people say things they don't mean when they're upset. Do they? Because I've been thinking about it for 2 months now, and I realized something. You were right. You probably can do better than me. And I can definitely do better than someone who sees me as a daily disappointment. I never said that. You didn't have to. It was pretty clear from the way you acted for the last 2 years of our marriage. Always tired when I wanted to talk. Always busy when I suggested doing something together. Always finding reasons why my ideas wouldn't work. I was going through a difficult time. For 2 years? Come on. You checked out of our marriage long before I left. I just made it official. Another pause. Is it serious? With her, I looked around my quiet house. Peaceful, organized the way I liked it. No constant undercurrent of tension. You know what's serious? I'm happy. Genuinely happy. I wake up looking forward to my day instead of wondering what's going to go wrong. She doesn't know you like I do. Actually, that might be the point. She knows the version of me that exists now, not the version that was slowly disappearing in our marriage. I want to try again. We could go to counseling, work on communication. The time for that was when I was still trying. When I suggested counseling 2 years ago, and you said we didn't need strangers telling us how to be married. Remember that conversation? Silence. I'm hanging up now. Please stop calling. Wait. I ended the call and turned off my phone. Tomorrow I'd start diving into the Westfield project details with Addison. Tonight, I was going to enjoy the quiet and maybe read that book I'd been meaning to get to for months. For the first time since this whole thing started, I wasn't thinking about my ex at all. I was thinking about tomorrow, and it looked pretty good from here. 3 months in, and apparently my ex had graduated from phone calls to full-scale reconnaissance. It started with seemingly innocent questions from mutual friends. Kyle from my old neighborhood called on a Tuesday. Hey man, just checking in. How've you been? Good, actually. Really good. What's up? Nothing much. Just, people are asking about you. Wondering how you're doing. People. Long pause. Okay, fine. She asked me to call. Wanted to know if you were dating anyone seriously. I had to laugh. She's got you doing intelligence work now? Look, I told her I wasn't comfortable with this, but she's persistent. Says you won't talk to her. Because there's nothing left to talk about. We're getting divorced. That pretty much covers everything. She seems to think there's still a chance. Kyle, I need you to listen to me. There is no chance. None. Zero. She made her feelings about our marriage very clear, and I'm respecting that by letting her find someone better. After I hung up, I realized this was probably just the beginning. Sure enough, over the next few weeks, I got casual calls from 3 more mutual friends, all with suspiciously similar questions about my living situation, work status, and whether I was seeing anyone. The answers were getting easier to give, though. Yes, I had my own place. Yes, work was going exceptionally well. And yes, I was seeing someone, and it was getting serious. Because it was. Addison and I had been officially dating for a month now, and the difference between this relationship and my marriage was like comparing sunlight to a flickering candle. She actually listened when I talked, remembered things I'd mentioned weeks earlier, and seemed genuinely interested in my thoughts and opinions. The Westfield project was coming together beautifully. We'd preserved the hotel's 1920s character while completely modernizing the infrastructure. Working with Addison was effortless. She'd sketch out ideas, I'd find ways to make them structurally sound, and somehow we always ended up with something better than either of us had imagined alone. You know what I love about this project? She said one evening as we reviewed the final lobby designs over dinner at her apartment. What's that? We're taking something that was beautiful once, that got neglected and run down, and we're bringing it back to life, but better than it was before. I looked at her across her kitchen table, surrounded by design sketches and project timelines, and realized she wasn't just talking about the hotel. Are we still discussing renovation? I asked. Maybe not entirely. She smiled. But the metaphor works, doesn't it? It did work. 6 months ago, I'd felt like I was slowly disappearing, becoming a smaller, quieter, more careful version of myself every day. Now I was remembering what it felt like to be genuinely excited about something, to have conversations that energized me instead of draining me. That's when things escalated. I was leaving work late on a Thursday when I spotted a familiar car in the visitor parking lot. She was sitting behind the wheel, watching the exit. When she saw me, she got out and walked over. We need to talk, she said. No, we don't. We need you to stop showing up at my workplace. I've been patient. I've given you space. But this has gone on long enough. Patient. You've been calling my friends to spy on me. She had the grace to look slightly embarrassed. I just needed to know how you were doing. You won't talk to me. Because we're getting divorced. That generally involves not talking to each other. I know about her. I stopped walking toward my car. What about her? Addison Wallace. Interior designer. 29 years old, never married, lives in that cute little complex on Maple Street. Cold ran down my spine. You looked her up? I had to know what I was competing against. You're not competing against anyone. There is no competition because there is no contest. We're done. I saw her picture online. She's pretty, I'll give her that. But she doesn't know you like I do. That's the second time you've said that, and you're right. She doesn't know the version of me that spent 8 years trying to be good enough for someone who made it clear I wasn't. She knows the version that exists now. You think this is love? You've known her for what? 3 months. I think it's healthy. I think it's what normal feels like. And I'd forgotten that was even possible. Her expression shifted, and I could see her cycling through different approaches. I made a mistake. People make mistakes. That doesn't mean we throw away 8 years. You didn't make a mistake. You told me the truth about how you saw me, and I finally listened. I was going through something. I was depressed, stressed about work. For how long? Because looking back, I can't remember the last time you seemed genuinely happy to see me come home. Can you? She opened her mouth, then closed it. That's what I thought. Look, I hope you find what you're looking for. But it isn't me, and it never was. We both know that now. She won't make you happy long term. You're just caught up in the excitement of something new. I unlocked my car door. Maybe you're right. Maybe this thing with Addison burns out in 6 months. But you know what? Even if it does, I'll still be better off than I was spending every day wondering if my own wife thought I was worth her time. Please, just think about it. We could try counseling. I did think about it. For 2 months. And here's what I figured out. I don't want to fix this. I want to be with someone who doesn't think I need fixing. I got in my car and drove away, watching her in the rearview mirror standing in the parking lot. My hands were shaking slightly, but not from uncertainty, from relief that I'd finally said out loud what I'd been thinking for months. When I got to Addison's place that evening, she took one look at my face and said, "Rough day?" She showed up at work. Did some research on you, apparently. Addison raised an eyebrow. Research. Knows where you live, how old you are, your work history. The full stalker package. Should I be worried? No. But you should know what you're getting into by dating me. She considered this for a moment. Am I getting a crazy ex-wife situation? Probably. Will you handle it? Absolutely. Then we're good. She kissed me. Besides, if she did her research properly, she knows I graduated top of my class in design school and I kickbox twice a week. I can take care of myself. That night, lying next to Addison in her bed, listening to her breathe, I realized something. I wasn't just moving on from my marriage. I was moving toward something better. 8 months after I walked out, I was living my best life. The Westfield project had wrapped up 3 weeks ahead of schedule and $50,000 under budget. Blake had already assigned me to lead another major renovation, this one for a downtown office complex. Addison and I had moved in together the month before, and honestly, I'd forgotten that cohabitation could involve things like shared laughter and mutual respect instead of silent standoffs over who forgot to buy laundry detergent. That's when my ex decided to stage her grand finale. I was at Home Depot on a Saturday morning, picking up supplies for building custom shelves in our home office, when my phone rang. Unknown number. Hello. Is this about Addison? The voice was unfamiliar, female, slightly nervous. I'm sorry, who is this? This is Jane Parker. I work with Addison at Eisenberg Design Group. She asked me to call you. My stomach dropped. Is she okay? She's fine, but there's a situation at the office. Can you get down here? She said to tell you it's about your ex-wife and that you'd understand. 20 minutes later, I pulled into the Eisenberg Design Group parking lot to find a small crowd gathered near the front entrance. Through the glass doors, I could see Addison standing calmly behind the reception desk, arms crossed, while my ex-wife paced back and forth in the lobby like a caged animal. Jane met me at the door. She's been here for an hour, demanding to speak with Addison about stealing her husband. Security called the police, but she's not technically trespassing since she claimed she was here about design services. Design services? Yeah, she said she wanted to hire Addison to redecorate her living room. Real subtle. I walked through the lobby doors, and the conversation stopped immediately. My ex spun around, and I got a good look at her for the first time since the parking lot confrontation. She looked tired, stressed, like someone who'd been spending too much time staring at social media profiles and not enough time sleeping. Finally, she said, I've been trying to have a civilized conversation with your girlfriend about the situation. What situation? I asked. Addison spoke up from behind the desk. She wants to know why I destroyed her marriage and whether I'm aware that you're using me to get back at her. I had to bite back a laugh. And what did you tell her? That her marriage was already destroyed when I met you, and that nobody uses a woman who can bench press her own body weight for anything. My ex stepped forward. This is exactly what I'm talking about. She's turning you against me. Actually, I said, you turned me against you 8 months ago when you told me I was probably the worst decision you'd ever made. She's just the person who helped me realize you were right. That's not what I said. Close enough. Look, what exactly are you hoping to accomplish here? Because embarrassing yourself in Addison's workplace doesn't seem like a winning strategy. I want to know what she has that I don't have. Addison and I exchanged a look. This was either going to be brutal or therapeutic. Possibly both. You want a list? I asked. Because I've got time. Please, enlighten me. I counted on my fingers. She laughs at my jokes. She doesn't sigh dramatically when I talk about work. She doesn't roll her eyes when I suggest watching something other than reality TV. She doesn't treat my opinions like they're inconvenient interruptions to her monologue about her day. That's not. Oh, I'm just getting started. She doesn't sulk when I want to spend time with friends. She doesn't make me feel like I need permission to buy groceries. She doesn't critique my driving, my cooking, my clothes, or my life choices on a daily basis. My ex's face was getting red. You're being ridiculous. Am I? When's the last time you told me you were proud of something I accomplished? And I don't mean proud of what I bought you or where I took you. Proud of me as a person. Silence. That's what I thought. Addison told me she was proud of me for landing the Westfield project before I even finished explaining what it was. You know what you said when I told you about it 2 years ago when I was up for it the first time? Don't get your hopes up. I was trying to protect you from disappointment. No, you were protecting yourself from having to pretend to care if I succeeded. Addison stepped out from behind the desk. Look, I don't know what kind of relationship you two had, but I can tell you what kind we have now. He comes home excited to see me. I come home excited to see him. We talk about our days because we're genuinely interested in each other's lives. Revolutionary concept, apparently. You don't know him like I do, my ex said, but her voice had lost some of its fight. You keep saying that, I replied. But here's the thing. The version of me you knew was someone who was slowly shrinking to fit into the space you left for him. Addison knows the version who takes up the space he deserves. And honestly, I like this version better. This is just infatuation. New relationship energy. It won't last. Maybe you're right. Maybe in 5 years, Addison will decide she can do better than me. But you know what the difference will be? If that happens, she'll tell me directly instead of making passive-aggressive comments for 2 years while she figures out her exit strategy. My ex looked around the lobby, apparently noticing for the first time that we had an audience of Eisenberg Design Group employees who were pretending to work while obviously listening to every word. This is humiliating, she said. Yes, it is. That's what happens when you corner someone at their workplace to demand explanations you're not entitled to. I thought if I could understand. Understand what? Why I'm happy now. It's not complicated. I'm with someone who actually likes me. Shocking development, I know. She stood there for another moment, and I could see her cycling through whatever options she thought she had left. Finally, she picked up her purse from one of the lobby chairs. I hope you're happy, she said, but not in a nice way. Thanks. I am. She walked toward the exit, then stopped and turned back. You'll regret this. The only thing I regret is not leaving sooner. After she left, the lobby was quiet for a moment. Then Addison started clapping, slowly, and the rest of the office joined in. Well, Addison said, that was educational. Sorry you had to deal with that. Are you kidding? That was the most entertainment this office has seen all year. Plus, now I know why you're so appreciative of basic human decency. I pulled her close. Ready to go build those shelves? Absolutely. But first, I want to hear more about this Westfield project. I'm proud of you for landing it. I know you are. That's exactly why I'm never letting you go. As we walked out to the parking lot together, I realized something. My ex had been right about one thing. I had changed. But not because of Addison. I'd changed because I'd finally stopped trying to be the person my ex needed me to be and started being the person I actually was. Turns out, that person was someone worth knowing. Who would have thought? 6 months later, when the divorce papers were finalized, I felt nothing but relief. Ralph threw a party to celebrate, and Addison made a toast to second chances and knowing your worth. I couldn't have said it better myself.